Right.
Always talk about art and games is nothing more than the attempt of game designers who feel guilty about their sordid games, trying to rationalize them as art. Screw all that.
Well, so the first thing you brought up, though, that the American puritanical values don't value just plain old fun.
Yeah.
Was almost, that's more of a critique of the values than it is a critique of video games.
Yes.
It's sort of like, well, we just aren't really ready for that yet, and play is important, but we're not ready to embrace it. But yet, what you were trying to do with your game designs and what I'm trying to do with my game designs is sort of still rise above just plain old fun. And that was you said, a reviewer of Balance of the Planet said it just wasn't fun. You know, and isn't that, why does my game have to be fun,
Yeah.
And so we are trying to get beyond fun a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe
you and I are. But
well, I'm not saying the industry is. I mean, there's on the mainstream, like this new generation of consoles, there are these games where you seriously sit there. It's a 12-hour game, but 6 hours are completely non-interactive. These high-polished, three-dimensional, computer-generated movies. They're not on a CD-ROM. They're not pre-rendered. They're being rendered in the game engine, but you can't. One of them is 40 minutes long. In the middle of the game, you've been playing along, and then the character gets to a certain point, and it triggers this thing to happen, and you can just set your controller on the couch for 40 minutes and watch your character, who you've been controlling, get out from your control for 40 minutes and go do all these special fancy moves and action sequences and talk to other characters and argue with them and so on. And then eventually the controls return to you, right? It's the cutscene.
Eye contact.
Well, I would strongly urge you never to undertake a project, a 17-year project, where you commit your whole life to it.
So in retrospect, do you regret embarking on this?
I don't know. If it fails, I will definitely regret it.
I mean, I'm dreaming small. I'm picking the low-hanging fruit here, Chris. I work on something for a month or two. Maybe it fails, maybe it succeeds, but...
Yeah.
Most of the things I embark on, I'm pretty sure, hey, I can see how that's probably going to work.
Well, see, one thing
But some things need a full 17 years.
One thing you have done that gives you a lot more freedom is that you are not so wedded to materialistic stuff.
Right.
You have, low burn rate.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris. I'm sort of fishing around for something to work on right now, and there's some other projects that may be coming down the line and so on. But if I get like a few weeks where I really feel at sea for something to work on, I'll try and make a story world.
Actually, I would advise against that.
Really?
You're exploring a very interesting angle, and I think you should follow your nose a bit further. I don't think you should, follow my work. I do think it might be useful for you to look over some of the concepts, learn a little bit about my technology, just to, maybe steal a few good ideas from it. But,
well, no, I guess I just thought, maybe there's... I'm a programmer, right? And I'm a pretty good programmer. And I'm not talking about helping you with the programming, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of people who are probably trying to make story worlds who are struggling with it, but they might not be programmers themselves. They're coming at it from they're maybe fiction writers, or maybe they've written a little interactive fiction or something.
Yeah.
But I don't really have trouble really grappling with really complicated systems and so on. I mean, it seems like something I might be able to tackle. Maybe I could do something interesting with it. Maybe I could provide you with a story world that, that I'd be proud of as a creator, that would do some sort of push the boundaries of the medium and of the mediums of interactive storytelling potentially, but also of you know, the medium of games, or whatever I created might kind of be something that some people could sort of see as a game, maybe, and maybe I'd do something cool with it. Maybe I'd make that television set and that you never thought anyone would make, and it'd be an interesting component, you know?
Yeah.
You know, in my story world, and it would make you think about things in a new way. And
well, see, the thing that you have a
and maybe I'd waste my time. Is that what you're saying, that I should spend my time elsewhere?
You have a very interesting and very different style of thinking about these problems than I do. And so I think you should follow that style. Now, I understand the idea that you've sort of run out of gas on this run.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you should stop. Maybe what I would suggest is first back up a little, spend some time learning about metaphor in the larger sense. I feel very strongly a good game designer has to know everything.
Right.
The most important thing to remember is do not be prescriptive, be descriptive. So. The game design of which I am most proud, Trust and Betrayal, was a just
we haven't talked about that.
In a completely different direction.
Now, that was on the Macintosh as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. And actually,
I have played it. I have played a little bit of it.
Oh.
So this is the game where, and this is actually kind of funny because it kind of connects back to Between in a little bit, where you go at night into this dream state.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with these essentially psychic animals.
Yes.
That you're having dream battles with.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess after this, I do need to go back and boot up the old Macintosh and get some of these things running again to really take a closer look at them.
I don't know. I don't think they're that important.
Well, I don't know. I guess. Yeah. What do you mean they're not that important?
Ancient history.
Well, see, that's the funny thing, though, is, like, again, we come back to the idea that in our medium, ancient history becomes irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean,
you said we're writing with sand. Your friend said that, and it doesn't seem like that should be the case. Like, I went back and tried to play M.U.L.E. It was before my time, essentially.
I consider M.U.L.E. to be the finest computer game design in history. Not that it's as good a game now as some of the games now, but because...
But for its place in history, also.
Yeah, for its place in history, it was absolutely a sensational design for a lot of reasons.
Well, as you play more and more, and as the resources get tighter and tighter, you sort of start to come to realize that if you stamp them into the ground completely, you actually depend on each other for survival on this planet.
Yeah.
And if you actually play the complete cutthroat capitalist, you're going to end up kind of hurting all of you and hurting yourself in the end, because you can't get the resource that they have or whatever. And so that hidden in the mechanics is this sort of message about how we need to temper our pure capitalism and so on. But it only comes out of the mechanics.
Yeah.
Right? That era, wow. Looking back and reading about it and hearing about, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you and other folks that you were very closely associated with, game designers, probably played a lot of M.U.L.E. No?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I just can't even imagine sitting down at a real computer with 4 real joysticks and looking at that, that Electronic Arts, out of all the companies, their ad from back in the day when they were announcing sort of their new company. Can a computer make you cry?